Word came down, the jury has found former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez guilty of the murder of Odin Lloyd, first-degree murder, life in jail without the possibility of parole. Yeah, it sounds as bad as it actually really is. Marv, your thoughts on the trial and how it all played out?
When you think about the evidence that they had, no murder weapon, no eyewitness, no motive, but they still was able to get a first-degree murder trial and first-degree decision on Aaron Hernandez. To me, it was shocking because you've seen in the past that a lot of athletes have been able to maneuver their way out of certain situations like this. But to have those three key elements and still get a first-degree murder, not second-degree, but a first-degree murder charge. Now, we don't know if he did it or not, but we do know that he has something to do with something. Did he pull the trigger? We don't know. Did he hire somebody to do it? We don't know. But we know that he was part of a conspiracy group that ended the life of Odin Lloyd. So,
Petra,
definitely. I think it's a tough one for sure. I mean, I was kind of keeping up with the trial, and I noticed that they brought his fiance to come and testify, and nothing that she said helped his character at all. I don't think that helped. I don't think the fact that he is going to be going to trial again at the end of this year for a double homicide. So I think all those things played a part into it, whether that's legal, whether that's fair, I'm not sure. And then when they described the way that this man was killed, it's just hard to think about.
Exactly. So when you talked about Ms. Jenkins' testimony, she said that Aaron Hernandez gave her a box, told her to get rid of it.
Yep.
Then asked her where did she put it. She said that under stress that she couldn't remember it. The juries that was in the case laughed at that testimony.
I heard.
Because how are you going to get rid of a black box and not know where you put it at is kind of ridiculous.
And then I believe when she put it in her trunk, she put her daughter's clothes over it.
Yeah, it was just, it's a lot of uncertainty with that testimony. Ty?
Uncertainty seems to be the ongoing theme. You talk about this group that he was with, we don't know. What's the motive? We don't know. The murder weapon, we don't know. And so in a day and age when, again, we did touch on this case in the past here, where the burden is on the prosecution to really prove without a shadow of a doubt that this man, Aaron Hernandez, took someone's life. And I feel like there's a lot of question marks kind of in the air. He's for sure guilty in the court of public opinion. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, I don't think there was enough for a conviction. At least not to the extent that that was given. Look at someone like a Darren Sharper and all the things that all the evidence we have for him and what he got.
And too, but did you notice that Aaron Hernandez's lawyer, when he was arguing the case, he placed Aaron Hernandez at the scene.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the best tactic to even bring him to have something to do with it. If somebody,
Yeah, to concede, valuable pieces of information like that, okay, Aaron Hernandez was at the scene. Well, he had to have something to do with it. 3 people walked in, 4 people walked in, 3 people walked out. What happened to that other person? Yeah. So, you're going to place him at the scene of the crime. But Aaron Hernandez's demeanor, though, throughout the whole trial, it was just kind of I don't want to say nonchalant. He was just pale. He just didn't say too much, motionless.
I mean, I think they teach you to be that way too.
I was going to say the same thing. I think
you can't show too much emotion either way.
Yes.
And then I think we can't deny that he does have a past of gang violence. Well, I wouldn't say gang violence, but he does have a past, and he's been affiliated with some things that it doesn't totally make this an unrealistic thing that maybe he could have done it. All those things, they say the jury didn't have privilege to but you just have to wonder
if they did.
Rough childhood. I believe it was Rolling Stone that released a story on Hernandez and the way he came up. And again, it's some dark spots, a lot of dark spots in terms of how he grew up. one thing's for sure, he signed that huge $40 million contract with the Patriots before everything hit the fan. And it's just a shame. All in all, it's a shame for everything to be thrown away, to not be able to leave this life, let your emotions get the best of you. We can't say alleged because, the trial is over. And again, you got to feel for all the other parties involved, his kids, his fiance, Odin Lloyd's, Ursula Ward, Odin Lloyd's mother. And it's just unfortunate that so much potential for a man who came from humble beginnings, rough beginnings, to seems like he is literally at the doorstep. He has made it. He is out. He is delivered.
He is only 25 years old.
Yeah,
only 25 and will never see the light of day.
Yeah, his life is pretty much over it. But how do you think that's going to affect NFL teams moving forward with draft picks or players with checkered past? Do you think that's going to change? Do you think they still going to take flyers on them? Or do you think this case in particular just changed up everything?
What I don't think that it's fair to just avoid all players with the past in the future, because a lot of the guys who make it to the NFL and the professionals, they come from similar backgrounds as Hernandez. What I think this is a good time for is for the NFL to really take a stand and make an impact on young boys' lives that are likely going to go into the NFL. I mean, they are an organization that has really been trying to take into consideration how much of a role model they are, but what are they doing on a proactive measure to really get in there and make an impact on these young boys' lives and not just leave it to the NFL players once they make it out to give back, but as an organization to really get behind and figure out what is it that pushes young boys to crime, that pushes young boys to violence and gangs and drugs and all those things. Like, this is the time to stand up and really figure out how can we stop this before they become adults.
When it comes down to it, your back's against the wall, you got to survive. You got to do what you got to do. But a lot of these players, it's more so, poverty and humble beginnings, like we say, seems to be the ongoing theme. But when you're crossing the boundary into, certain cliques or certain groups that you're hanging around that may have a certain type of influence on you, it's different. So you definitely got to stick with the players who seem to have that really, really close family ties, and their motivation is being able to support their family, and without that, as bad as the past and these cliques, like I'm saying. So I got to stay away from certain guys. They said they keep an eye on everyone. Who was the player? Was it Des Bryant? They watched how many times Des Bryant went into a club, and after some people out, it's too many times in a club. It's if I'm going to pay you money, what do they say about availability?
It's your best ability.
It's the best ability. If you ain't on the field, I'm not putting you on my team. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cause for concern when you think about the recent things that's been happening in the NFL. Outside of AP and Ray Rice, you have Hardy, McDonald, Alden Smith, all his issues that he just recently went through. But quick before we move on to the next topic, bigger trial, OJ or Aaron Hernandez?
I think OJ was. I think it was more in the spotlight. It just had more. It's a grim subject, but more luster. Grim subject, but I'm not trying. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say OJ was the more popular trial. I think people who were outside of the football realm took an interest in it.